Welcome back to Modern Tactical Shooting. Now, about 2 months ago, I made a video. It was actually one in a series of different YouTube shorts, basically where I take out an article of clothing and I go into like a flashback sequence from my early days in Iraq with some photos and video. There was one in particular which I can show here, but I got to take the sound out because it is copyrighted for a full-length video. But in this clip right here, my daughter takes out this 511 vest and I go into a flashback sequence with some photos and some range footage from 2004 Iraq wearing this vest. And lo and behold, that one video actually I would say went viral as much as I would say a video's gone viral for all my stuff I've done so far, with well over 2 million views and thousands of comments. So it turned out to be a very popular video. And I figured, hey, since that video is so popular, why not do a full-length video on it? Now, concerning those comments, even though I put hashtag Special Forces in the title, I would say 60% of the comments have to do with people claiming I'm some sort of PMC, private military contractor, most notably Blackwater, some sort of CIA spook in it. Again, even though I put hashtag Special Forces in the title. But what's really funny is the other 40% of the comments say I look like Imhotep from 1999 movie The Mummy. In fact, one of the funniest comments I've seen so far is, I went to the desert looking for a Naxuna moon, and instead I found war. So I thought that was pretty hilarious. But hey, with the interest with that video, why not do a full-blown video on 511 vests and the history of Special Forces? Very limited use, but we did rock these for a while. And I want to cover just why this vest was so popular in the early days of Iraq, especially with all those PMCs. So let's get into history of the 511 vest with Special Forces right now. So before I cover this vest right here, if you have not yet seen my history of MP5 with Special Forces video or my bailout bag video, both those videos provide good context or background to how we operated in Special Forces during those early days in Iraq. I'm going to cover it here, but I think I probably, again, provide a little bit more background in just what we were doing. Basically, we were operating in civilian clothes, not to be undercover, but to be what we call low level, which is basically to be able to travel around unnoticed. So we were in civilian clothing, we were in civilian cars, the teams that had that mission. We had a fleet of cars that we could change out, that we could paint, we could change out the plates on, and the whole purpose was to be able to drive around and do that recce mission on the growing insurgency. So go out and gather intel, kind of like how a narco cop would gather intel here in the States on some sort of drug cell. We employed the same tactics, just in a war zone. So we were in civilian clothes, and really the key was to be in civilian clothes or be unnoticed from the waist up, because the point was just, again, to be able to drive around. I wasn't walking around trying to blend in. Now, how were these vests employed? Well, first of all, they were unit purchase items. Our unit, 5th Special Forces Group, bought a ton of different clothing from Cabela's, bunch of hunting style clothing, but also 511. The pants, these vests, and a bunch of shirts. I never wore those shirts. They were too heavy, and they only came in 2 colors at the time, that green and I guess earth tone or tan, same color this is right here, or khaki, I guess is the proper term. But I did wear this vest right here, and there's a reason why there are only 2 photos that I keep reusing in all these different videos of me wearing this vest. And there's a very particular reason for that. That is because we did not actually wear these when we were out and about. These vests were kind of viewed as a bug-out vest as opposed to a bug-out bag. So sometimes we took these vests as a bug-out vest, loaded up with full kit, and I'll get into that, to either supplement that bug-out bag, or we just went with the vests. And this was, I would say, late 2003 going into 2004. And yes, I know, really these vests have become so closely associated with PMCs at the time. That's why everybody was like, hey, that's some Blackwater dude. Because going into, I'd say at least by the late summer of 2004, every PMC was wearing 511 clothing, either unofficially, that's just what guys were going with, or in some PMCs, it was officially kind of like their duty uniform. And I'll get into why 511 really exploded in the early 2000s here in a little bit. But in early 2004, and especially up north in the rural areas, it wasn't like Baghdad. It was not completely saturated with guys walking around in these vests. And if you look at this photo right here, these are two locals and of course myself and another Green Beret. Those vests, or these 511 vests, kind of fit the style of northern Iraq. So a very short period of time, I would say early 2004 to about the summer of 2004, you could actually get away with maybe wearing one of these and not completely standing out and being pegged for some sort of armed person. Of course, these are called shoot me first vests. That's what they're known for, just because of the explosive, really popularity of 511 clothing. But there was a period where you could kind of rock these and not totally stick out. But the way we employed these is we didn't wear them going out on mission, hence the only two photos I have. These photos, we're just posing before going out on a mission. We actually took these off, we folded them up, and we put them off to the side in the car or on the floorboard, and we used them as a bug-out vest. Meaning that if we did make contact with the enemy, we could throw this on, and because it has all these pockets and it can hold a lot of gear, this was your assault vest. So you could throw this on and have a full fighting loadout on you. We didn't go around wearing these because, again, you're going to stand out. Especially by late 2004, every PMC in Iraq was rocking 511 clothing and these vests. Real quick, I'd like to ask for your help, and that is helping my channel get to 100,000 subscribers. I'd like to do it by the end of 2024. Doing so will greatly help me out in that it opens up more tools for content creators. As you know, YouTube is no friend to firearms channels, and I don't have a lot of tools when it comes to being able to appeal decisions made about my content if they demonetize stuff or do other things to my videos. I have very limited options, and I believe at 100,000 subscribers, more tools open up for content creators. So if you do like my videos, that will greatly help me out. Now, I don't often ask for, hey, like, share, and subscribe in all my videos. I did it early on, but honestly, I feel kind of cringe doing it in every video, so I kind of avoid it, but it would help me out. So if you do like my content, please like, subscribe, share my videos with your friends, comment down below. It does help pump it up in the algorithm, get my videos out there. And I would like to hit 100,000 subscribers by the end of 2024. That's pretty cool. So again, that would greatly help me out. But right now, let's get back to 511 vests. So if you look closely at this photo right here, yep, I'm rocking that MP5. But in those M4 mag pouches, I believe I have 2 MP5 mags each. So I got a total of 4 in those pockets right there. And on the left side, I believe I kept all IFAC items. And I'm going to show a vest loadout here in a second. And I had a bunch of pistol mags on me. So everything I needed really on hand in a gunfight. I could throw this on. I had a complete IFAC and I had a bunch of extra mags for reloads. Again, the bare minimum that you need to get you out of some sort of engagement with the enemy. Of course, our main job was to avoid enemy contact, go in, recon, gather information, and get on out. And this had the benefit of not having a higher military signature. So we wanted to be able to drive around, and if people did walk by or drive by and look into our vehicles, they wouldn't see a bunch of military kit. So we didn't bring chest racks and things like that. We could have a vest like this folded up, and it kind of just looked like another article of clothing in that vehicle. So again, not totally undercover, just kind of a lower signature. These vests did serve that purpose pretty well for, again, a very limited time, but a very effective piece of kit. All right, here we've got the vest. Lots of pockets on the front right here. That's what made these so popular. Now we have 2 M4 magazine pouches on the right-hand side. Now on the left side, I rigged this kind of how I had it back in 2004, filled it with IFAC items. In this zipper pocket, I have a tourniquet. Now on the inside of both sides are Velcro panels, and I had the original pouches they came with, a double magazine pouch, and these are made by Blackhawk. And on the other side, I have a baton carrier that actually holds a third magazine, and our kit also came with a handcuff pouch, and I've lost that years ago. On the inside of the vest is a double cargo pocket. It has a slot on the inside and then a little Velcro panel. Flipping the vest over, it's got that center cargo flap and then 2 water bottle pouches on both sides. So I'd say yes, by late 2004, every PMC started to adopt 511 clothing. And why was that? Well, late 90s, early 2000s, there really was no such thing as like a tactical civilian clothing line. If guys were going to wear some sort of outdoor gear, it was always repurposed hiking gear or maybe civilian hunting gear. But again, civilian hunting gear had that kind of hunting gun look. And 511, I would say Royal Robbins, I believe they started out with that line of pants. I think Royal Robbins is still a company out there, but was the first company to offer a large volume of purpose-built clothing, basically for the range, reinforced purpose-built pockets for magazines and such. And they became hugely popular. And really 511 is just a victim of their own success. Adopted by just about every PMC in Iraq. So much so it's basically a meme. And as people pointed out in the short I made, they had me pegged for a PMC because that was, again, the unofficial and sometimes official uniform, a lot of those PMCs. And stateside, hugely popular with local and federal law enforcement. In fact, to this day, 511 is still very popular with law enforcement. If you go out and you wear a 511 tactical pants or one of these vests, most people are going to peg you for some sort of law enforcement person. It's just that well known. In fact, I don't wear 511 tactical clothing anymore. I don't wear their pants. I do like their shirts, their hiking style shirts. In fact, this is a 511 shirt I'm wearing, but I would not go out and about with their tactical gear just because it's totally burnt. It's totally, well, people have you pegged. If not law enforcement, they'll have you pegged as somebody armed and carrying a gun. So I don't want that signature. That's why these are known as shoot me first vests at this point. Now, one very real concern while operating in a war zone in civilian clothing is being confused with an enemy combatant. That was one issue that was really always on our minds, and we had to have a plan to kind of minimize that, and that is where we employed this next technique. Now, this isn't something classified. I'm not giving up an official technique. This is something just my team came up with as an SOP, and that is anytime we came in contact with regular Army soldiers, we always pulled out these American flags that we wore in neck wallets. I'm going to try and not bump my microphone. But we could pull this out. It doesn't guarantee we're an American, but at least it would give pause to that soldier to give us a deeper look. We could show this and then be like, oh, hey, what's that about? Oh, hey, that is a Westerner. Because again, a very real concern, especially if a regular Army unit was in the middle of a firefight and we happen to stumble or wander into it, we don't want to be confused for an enemy combatant. Worse, and a big concern was if we were in enemy contact and we called for a QRF, regular Army is going to responding to guys in civilian clothes fighting guys in civilian clothes. The enemy did not wear a uniform. So we wanted one method to positively identify us. And if we were in enemy contact, we could call on the radio, hey, you're going to be responding to us. We're in civilian clothing. Look for the guys with the American flags around their necks. And this SOP literally was a lifesaver on numerous occasions. Things would happen. We'd be driving by an Army convoy in our civilian cars. The Army convoy would get attacked just randomly. We would pull off to the side of the road. We don't want to get lit up by an Army convoy. I've had a Bradley aim its main cannon at us before, and I was sitting there saying, hey, I hope the gunner sees this. So this literally was a life-saving technique. We also rolled with full-size American flags in our vehicles so we could display them out. If there were American aircraft responding to something like that, we can mark our positions with those flags. But literally, we all wore these. It was just as good as like a policeman's badge. Again, we were out and about. If we did run into regular Army, we could pop these out and be like, hey, look, an American, we're not a threat, and be able to conduct our business and then tuck it inside. So just a little SOP our team came up with, and it worked extremely well. So of course, not every SF team was rocking 511 vests. They worked well for our team and our mission, and again, as a bug-out vest. We didn't walk around wearing them. They stayed in our car packed with the items we need if we got into a gunfight. And come 2005, my third tour in Iraq, this range footage right here, I'm rocking that UMP-45. We just got them in theater, and I'm wearing that vest out at the range, but I really used it for training. I didn't even take it out anymore, just because it was totally overblown and really saturated by that point. And I didn't want to portray myself as a PMC when I was out and about. So by 2005, it was really just a range item. Now, I would resurrect this vest later on in my career, not for military use, but for IDPA, International Defensive Pistol Association. In that league of shooting, you have to draw from concealment. 5.11 vests and other vests are super popular because they provide for a very fast draw if you draw strong side hip. That's the way I still draw to this day. Because of the reinforced material, and there's a Velcro panel on the inside of the vest, it offers a very, I would say, stiff and sturdy draw. So when you hook your thumb behind the material, it's a no-fail catch, providing for a very fast, very smooth draw and very fast reloads. So these vests to this day are still very popular in IDPA. On this vest right here, if you notice, this patch on the back is from Darcy. I talked about them a lot here on my channel, my history of CQB and Special Forces video. Well, they were also, along with ATS Tactical Gear, one of my very first sponsors in competitive shooting. And I went to the IDPA Nationals, I believe it was 2012. I was a brand new master. They helped sponsor me to go shoot the national championship. I did horrible. I got crushed as a brand new master. I didn't do too well, but at least I got to say I've shot 1 nationals. And Darcy was one of my very first sponsors, so I sported this patch right here. And this vest was kind of regulated to that. Now, later in 2010, after I retired from the Army, I actually resurrected this vest one more time. I've done a little bit of military contracting myself, and the company I went and worked for, to get in, you have to pass their shooting exams, their shooting tests, and the requirement is you got to wear low-level body armor and a concealment garment over it, and these vests are allowed. So I brought this out of retirement, and I shot it through their course, very tight times, some of the hardest shooting tests I've ever had to do, very high accuracy and time standards. And this draw that this vest allows helped facilitate getting me through that class. In fact, I ended up being, I think, the high scorer for that class. So I have this vest to help thank for that. Again, very fast draw if you're a strong side hip draw person like I am. So yeah, this vest has served me pretty well. This is the original vest from 2004. It probably needs to be washed, but as far as holding up, if I could wash this, you couldn't tell this is now a 20-year-old vest. So where does this vest stand today? Again, 5.11 is a victim of their own popularity. These vests, again, became like the official uniform of PMCs for quite some time in Iraq, and that's probably what they're most known for. That, or of course law enforcement today, because 5.11 gear is still very popular. I think these vests have definitely earned their place in GWOT history. Again, very limited, very short time frame used by SF, at least my ODA. I don't know how other teams were employing them, but again, they were purchased by a lot of teams in 5th Group in early Iraq, and I think they've definitely earned their place in GWOT history, even if it's just for being known with PMCs. Now, you can still find these vests. I looked it up online in making this video. There have been some changes to the vest. One of the good changes, if you may have noticed in these photos, now of course I'm a left-handed shooter, so the 2 magazine pouches are on the proper side for me, but 85% of your shooters out there are right-handed, and these magazine pouches are on the wrong side. On the current vest, they moved them over to the correct side, so that's pretty good. Another change, it looks like they got rid of this center snap, which is actually pretty handy when you're wearing body armor, because you're probably not going to be able to zip up the vest over body armor, but you could at least snap this. It looks like they got rid of the center snap button. I thought it was a pretty handy feature, especially wearing this over body armor. You could at least close a little bit. So it looks like they got rid of that, but the vest is still available. I'm sure it's still pretty popular in competitive shooting. So again, that's the history of the 511 vest in Special Forces. Again, very short time frame, but it was a practical piece of kit or clothing if you knew how to employ it. So there it is. As always, I hope you found this video entertaining and informative. I'm Jeff Gerwich. Thanks for watching.